didn't really go so well. Both sides hit each other with their maximalist demands. And of course, both sides rejected each other's maximalist demands. So we're going right back to the war to see who can gain more leverage. And now, I mean, yeah, I ain't gonna lie, this kind of sucks. It sucks, but this is where we're at with it. We're going back to the war to see who can gain more leverage, and let's see if we can get to a ceasefire further down the line or a complete domination of Iran. This is where things are heading right now. But let's get right into it with JD Vance. Let's not forget to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Appreciate the support. Any question, comment, jokes, or disagreements, just go ahead and super chat that in. Appreciate you.
Where JD Vance, the U.S. Vice President, is due to speak soon.
To the Prime Minister of Pakistan and to Field Marshal Munir, who were both incredible hosts. And whatever shortcomings in the negotiation, it wasn't because of the Pakistanis, who did an amazing job and really tried to help us and the Iranians bridge the gap and get to a deal. We have been at it now for 21 hours, and we've had a number of substantive discussions with the Iranians. That's the good news. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement. And I think that's bad news for Iran, much more than it's bad news for the United States of America. So we go back to the United States having not come to an agreement.
And bad news for both sides. So the Strait of Hormuz still stays closed. The global market is still being held by a vice grip by Iran. And, well, be real with you, Iran now got to deal with our constant bombing. So both sides is taking an L because of this.
We've made very clear what our red lines are, what things we're willing to accommodate them on, and what things we're not willing to accommodate them on. And we've made that as clear as we possibly could. And they have chosen not to accept our terms. Questions?
So, Nick Robertson from CNN. Precisely what have they rejected here? Can you help us understand it a little bit?
Well, I won't go into all the details because I don't want to negotiate in public after we negotiated for 21 hours in private. But the simple fact is that we need to see an affirmative commitment that they will not seek a nuclear weapon, and they will not seek the tools that would enable them to quickly achieve a nuclear weapon. That is the core goal of the President of the United States, and that's what we've tried to achieve through these negotiations.
Again, and here's the problem, though. Iran, they wanted to pretty much have the sanctions like lifted. That's why there was news pretty much saying that, oh, the Strait of Hormuz might be open. America might get everything they want. But the problem is we got to take all sanctions off of Iran. And for some reason, we weren't trying to show that good faith. And that's what Iran was asking for on their side. They say, lift the sanctions, show good faith on that, and we'll show good faith by opening the strait, and then we can continue further. Just on that alone, they was like, yeah, we're not doing it. So they pretty much said, well, let's get over to your nuclear capabilities. Like, one, we don't want you to have a bomb, so you're going to stop enrichment. Iran was like, yeah, we're not doing that. Like, we're going to keep enriching because we believe it's our... Sorry, we're going to keep enriching because we believe it's our right to do so. Like, that's good. And that's where they're getting held up on. It's this whole, oh, well, we want to control Iran's nuclear capability. But we had that with the JCPOA and we effed that up. We had them in 2 rounds of negotiation, but we wanted to move to their ballistic missiles. Now we're here pretty much trying to have maximalist demands when we had them in a better position before this war. This is crazy. But hey, I ain't for taking off the sanctions on Iran, but I'm going to tell you this right now. It might have been one of our better ideas. Let's see how things progress. Oh, guys, make sure to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Appreciate your support, by the way, but let's make sure we are liking the video.
And their nuclear program, such as it is, the enrichment facilities that they had before, they've been destroyed. But the simple question is, do we see a fundamental commitment of will for the Iranians not to develop a nuclear weapon, not just now, not just 2 years from now, but for the long term? We haven't seen that yet. We hope that we will. Jen.
Was there a framework on anything? And also, did the Iranian frozen assets come up, and did you reach any conclusions on those frozen assets?
We talked about all those issues, Jen, and we talked about a number of issues beyond that. And so certainly those things came up. But again, we just could not get to a situation where the Iranians were willing to accept our terms. I think that we were quite flexible. We were quite accommodating. The president told us, you need to come here in good faith and make your best effort to get a deal.
AKA, no, they needed to come over there and completely bend the knee to America because we kind of told our citizens that you guys capitulated and you were rushing to the ceasefire. Now that the ceasefire didn't go through, Americans are going to be scratching their head like, yeah, I thought you said they capitulated, bro. I mean, this doesn't sound like capitulation when they're willing to walk away. When people are willing to walk away from a deal, it lets you know that they have some type of leverage still.
We did that. And unfortunately, we weren't able to make any headway. Preston.
Mr. Vice President, how often did you communicate with President Trump throughout the negotiations? There were reports that there were multiple rounds where there were breaks in between negotiations. How often did you communicate with the president throughout those rounds, and what was he saying as you were going through these negotiations that you said fell short?
Yeah, obviously we were talking to the president consistently. I don't know how many times we talked to him, a half dozen times, a dozen times over the past 21 hours. We obviously also talked to Admiral Cooper, to Pete, to Marco, to the entire national security team. We talked to Scott Bessent a number of times. So look, we were constantly in communication with the team because we were negotiating in good faith. And we leave here with a very simple proposal, a method of
the problem is that it's not about negotiating in good faith. It's the fact that, look, like during the last two negotiations, we struck Iran. So, I mean, just to be fair, just to show grace to both sides, it would make sense that we'd have to show a little bit of goodwill first, aka maybe lifting the sanctions would have been a good idea to show good faith towards Iran. We get that straight open and then we can continue down the line. Let's not sit here and pretend like we've just been the most honest negotiators ever, because we haven't. And let's not pretend like we haven't struck these guys during negotiations, because we have.
Understanding that is our final and best offer. We'll see if the Iranians accept it. Thank you.
God, make sure to double tap that screen and like the
Vance.
video, guys. Appreciate the support, by the way, but let's make sure we're double tapping that screen. But all right, man, let's see what Trump said, because Trump definitely did have a bit of a press gaggle before he left the White House. Let's go ahead and get into that. And let's not forget to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Let's get more people on the conversation by double tapping that screen and smashing the like button, depending on how you're watching.
I'm getting a lot of reports. They've been meeting for many hours, as you probably have noticed. We'll see what happens. Look, regardless, we win. Regardless what happens, we win. We've totally defeated that country. And so let's see what happens. Maybe they make a deal, maybe they don't.
Is it a good sign?
From the standpoint of America, we win. One other thing that's happening is that boats are sailing up and heading out to our country. Big, beautiful tankers, and we're loading them up with oil and gas and everything else. And pretty beautiful thing to see.
What about the Have you agreed to release Iran's assets in other countries?
We're going to see what happens. We're in very deep negotiations with Iran. We win regardless. We've defeated them militarily. They've dropped a couple of water mines, you call them water mines, in the boat. We've defeated all of their water boats too. Their Navy has gone 158 ships. They have 28 water droppers, mine droppers, they call them.
Yeah, the problem with Iran is that, they still got the capability to mine the Strait of Hormuz. They still got these drone boats, yes, little drone speed boats that pretty much can fire rockets, self-detonate. I mean, pretty much kamikaze style. So yeah, there's still that to worry about in the Strait of Hormuz. And then I've seen the news reporting that, they're clearing out the mines. Well, here's the thing. The mines were just one problem, sadly, just one. Like, the second problem was the drones that could be flew into these ships. The third problem was, a whole missile. So clearing out the mines out of the Strait of Hormuz, I'm sorry, but that's just taking out one out of the three problems. And that was the smallest problem, to be honest with you guys, was the mines. Their biggest problem was the missiles, and then second would be the drones, just on a damage ratio.
All of them are sunk. They probably have a couple of mines in the water. We have mine sweepers out there. We're sweeping the strait. In addition to that, we're negotiating. Whether we make a deal or not makes no difference to me. And the reason is because we've won. Whether you listen to the fake news or not, it's amazing. Their credibility is down to 13%. The media credibility down to 13%. Think of it. We defeated their Navy. We defeated.
Here's the problem. It's not about, America lost, because no, we didn't lose this war because the war ain't over. But the problem is that we're being sold that it's going oh so well that they're just being completely demolished. You're telling us that, oh, 90% of the missile capability got destroyed. U.S. intelligence come out and say it's only a third. And this explains why they've been able to still fire into Israel and the Gulf states recklessly like they have been. So you're telling us one thing and Iran is showing us another. It's not that we're losing the war. It's just that we're not kicking Iran's teeth in the way we think we are, or the way Fox News and Donald Trump is portraying that we are.
Their Air Force. We defeated their anti-aircraft. We defeated their radar. We defeated their leaders. Their leaders are all dead. And now all we do is we'll open up the strait, even though we don't use it, because we have a lot of other countries in the world that do use it that are either afraid or weak or cheap. I don't know what it is, but we were not helped by NATO, that I can tell you.
Oh, guys, make sure to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Let's get more people on the conversation. If you have any questions, comments, jokes, or disagreements, I'll be happy to read it out loud and engage with it. Just $2 and up. Appreciate the support, guys. Let's keep it going.
How do you know that? Why do you say that? Why do you say that? You don't know anything. Who you with? Who you with? ABC? Well, let's fake news. Let me just tell you, we win, no matter what. We've defeated their military. They have no navy. 158 ships are underwater, undersea. All of their minesweepers and all of their, they call them mine droppers. Can you imagine? A country has 28 mine droppers. You think that's nice? With all of that being said, they're all defeated, by the way. They're all at the bottom of the sea. Now, with all of that, they have no navy. They have no radar. They have no air force. Their leaders are all dead.
I mean, the problem with the Air Force is that, well, the Air Force is from the 60s, so that's not really the biggest accomplishment. I mean, the most advanced thing about Iran's army is their missile capability and their drones. Like, that's really it. Missiles, drones, most advanced thing. If we don't take those out, Iran's still in the game. I mean, their Navy from the 70s, Air Force from the 60s. Those were never a problem. Let's be honest here. The main problem is if we want to pretty much make Iran useless or harmless, yeah, we're gonna have to diminish their missiles and their drones somehow, some way, which they are, well, most likely making 100 feet underground.
With Khomeini is gone. For many years he ruled. He's gone. With all of that, let's see what happens. But from my standpoint, I don't care.
China is preparing to ship weapons to Iran.
Well, if China does that, China's going to have big problems, okay?
Now, it is being confirmed that China is sending weapons to Iran. They don't give a F. And here's the thing, bro. Chinese weapons have already been on the battlefield. Of course, they've been testing their weapons the entire time. They see the flaws in American military tech, and they're making their adjustments. I mean, there's people who have the mindset of, oh, we're flexing, we're showing off. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, sure, that sounds cool, but strategically wise, this is a bad idea because now they can adjust their weapon systems to our new military tech that we're displaying in front of the world. Like, just to let you know, we're displaying it in front of the world, even the secret stuff that we have. So it's a bit tough to sit there and just call this military advantage or strategic advantage against China and Russia. I mean, we're kind of showing them our cards. We're showing the whole world our cards. And those two are the only people that can actually adjust for what we got. But all right, though, let's see what these guys are over here saying on Fox News.
Is a former Trump special envoy.
Let's see what they're saying.
General Keith Kellogg is a former.
Always make sure to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. And if you want to support the show with a super chat, that'd be much appreciated, or a question, comment, or disagreement. All right, let's keep it going. Like I said, smash that like button. Let's keep it going.
Former Trump special envoy and co-chair of American security at the America First Policy Institute, and he joins me now. General, welcome to the show. Look, this is an important time to have you on. We know that tensions are high. And you have both sides, the U.S. and Iran, in these talks saying they have lines that they will not cross. So how do we get closer to finally bringing an end to this conflict once and for all?
What the president has done is just totally demolish their military. Their fleet is at the bottom of the Persian Gulf. Their enriched uranium is gone. And everything about them is driven us to this negotiation period where we have a good negotiations team on the ground. They brought one forward. What I would say, though, when you look at this negotiation that's happening today, the one guy from the Iranian side I'd watch out for is Arachi. He's their foreign minister. He actually wrote a book on negotiation called The Power of Negotiation. His parents were rug merchants. And it's sort of like you or I walking into a store.
I'm weak. Not the Iranians got their own Trump. He's like, yeah, the Iranians got their own Trump. He literally like wrote an Iranian version of The Art of the Deal. Like, really? Huh, interesting.
And try to buy something, and there was no price tag on it, so it's all haggling. But I think that we are coming in with all the cards. We know what we want. We want to open right now the Strait of Hormuz. We can do that. You either do it voluntarily, or we're going to make you open it, and that's where you want to be at. So the current state is, I think we all ought to sit back and watch these negotiations play out. I would advise the Iranians, be very careful. History has not shown this to go well for any party that's fought back on the negotiations. They should realize they don't hold any of the cards. We can make sure that we destroy their economic potential.
Hold any of it, bro. They still hold control of the Strait of Hormuz. Like, I'm sorry, but they do have some cards there. They are still holding our Gulf allies hostage because they can fire missiles and drones anytime they want into them. Same thing with Israel, except now Israel's getting attacked from like 3 sides. They're getting attacked from the Houthis, Hezbollah, and Iran. So I'm sorry, but they still got cards on the table. I mean, I don't know what like game you're looking at, bro, but you might need to focus on what's actually going on out there in the Middle East.
As well. Just let us figure this out, how to open up the Strait of Hormuz. We can do it if we have to militarily. And I think that's where Vice President Vance is going to go.
Their guy wrote a book on negotiations. Our guy wrote a book on negotiations, like you just said, The Art of the Deal.
Here's the problem, though. Like, we could open up the Strait of Hormuz, but the problem is going to be a dogfight. I'm just going to be real with you. It's going to be an all-out dogfight that I don't think we're ready for, or honestly, that we're ready to take the losses on. Because we have to be fighting missiles as our ships approach the ports and approach Iranian waters. They're going to start shooting missiles, drones, all types of stuff. They're going to start sending out the little kamikaze speedboats. Yeah, it's going to be an all-out fight for the Strait of Hormuz, and we are going to take some L's. The problem is, like I said, we can do it. It's just how much are we willing to lose in doing so, and how long can we maintain control of the Strait of Hormuz if it's being taken under such hostile action? Because there's going to be a response.
We know that for sure.
Right.
Now, look, General, there is this ceasefire with Iran, and we have that going for us, but there's still a lot of activity. There's strikes back and forth between Israel and Lebanon, and talks were scheduled between those.
Oh, guys, make sure to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. We got about 300 of y'all in here, man. Let's get to 100 likes. So let's make sure we are double tapping that screen, and make sure to support the show with a gift or a super chat. If you send a super chat, make sure you send any question, comments, jokes, or disagreements. Appreciate the support, guys. Let's keep it going.
2 nations this week in Washington, but the Lebanese prime minister now says he's going to postpone his upcoming trip. So how do you see that potentially impacting these peace talks, or maybe even our alliance with Israel, considering Iran has maintained that Lebanon is included in the ceasefire and the U.S. says they're not?
Yeah, I would disassociate the two. Don't bring them both together. Because of Hezbollah, which is based out of Lebanon, the United Nations actually put in UNIFIL in there. They actually
but here's the problem, though, is that Hezbollah was not the aggressor in this war. I mean, Israel attacked Hezbollah first, broke a ceasefire with Hezbollah to pop off this war during the fog of war of both of us striking Iran. So it's kind of wild how they're not including Lebanon in this, because you guys, like, they were both simultaneously attacked at the same time, because Hezbollah is a proxy of Iran. And when Iran released that ceasefire deal, he said all of our allies, aka we're talking about the Houthis in Yemen, Hezbollah in Lebanon, and Hamas in Gaza. And they don't play stupid, because they know that's what they meant. And Hezbollah was actually, specifically excluded. But for some reason, American diplomats did not want to expose that, because for some reason we got the prime minister of Pakistan saying that, yeah, Lebanon was included. Iranian foreign minister, yeah, Lebanon was included. So only 2 out of the 3 parties agree that Lebanon was included, and only 1 out of the 3 says that it wasn't. And 1 out of the 3 is us. It's us. But I was looking around, and yeah, Lebanon was supposed to be included in it, but Israel said F us and F our ceasefire, and they just went, full-fledged on them, 100 strikes in 1 hour. No fucks given.
Sure that south of the Litani River, that they would control it. They haven't done that. The UN has just absolutely failed on making sure that the Hezbollah has not been south of the Litani. And I think the Israelis have to fight for their own survival, and they have to fight against Hezbollah. That's where they're at up there. So we kind of need to disassociate Lebanon from what's happening with Iran. So I would kind of say dog.
Y'all popped this off at the same time. When Israel was attacking Iran with us, they also attacked Lebanon and broke that ceasefire with Hezbollah at the same time. And as of now, they've been relentlessly striking southern Lebanon, also cutting off southern Lebanon from northern Lebanon by bombing the bridge that goes over the Litani River. So I'm sorry, but it kind of sounds like you're trying to annex southern Lebanon, to be honest. Well, not you, the Fox News host, but Israel.
To the Lebanese and to the Iranians and the Israelis. This is yours to figure out. It's separate from what we're doing in Iran as well. They have to keep making sure that their people are safe in Israel, and they're going to do that. So you kind of, this is where I'm talking about negotiations. They're going to try to muddy the water, meaning the Iranians are. They're kind of throw things in there. Arachi's good at that. And we have to be very careful about that. Remember in The Art of the Deal, which I thought was one of the great lines, that the President of the United States, when he wrote that book, one of the articles he wrote in there, be ready to walk away from a bad deal. He'll do that. He'll look at the Iranians and say, thank you very much. We're not going to do it. We're out of there.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about it. He's not going to give up anything that he feels is necessary for this deal.
No, both sides held strong. The Iran side didn't give up anything, and the American side didn't give up anything. No negotiators gave up anything during these 14-hour talks. So 14-hour talks basically for no damn reason for these guys to meet up with their maximalist demands thinking that they were going to go somewhere. Like both sides kind of walk into this foolishly. But it kind of goes to show that, well, no side is eager for a ceasefire. Of course, we're not eager for one, and Iran's not eager for one either, no matter what Pete Hegseth says, because the way they just walked away from this ceasefire deal or this negotiations kind of shows us that, yeah, they're not hurting too bad to the point where they're just, oh, please, we need a ceasefire. We'll give up anything. No, they're not there yet. Or I'm not even sure if they'll even ever get there at this point.
UN hasn't done their job. Another group who doesn't feel like they've done their job is our NATO allies. There's no secret to anybody that the president's been very disappointed with our NATO allies. He's been very open about that. Now, this week, you saw the NATO Secretary General in D.C.
Right.
It sounds like even he understands the president's frustration with what's gone on with our allies. Do you think, though, General, we're going to start to see our European allies finally decide it's time to pull their weight here?
Look, we need to tell NATO that we're going to have a new NATO, whatever you want to call it. It started with 12 members in 1949.
So, AKA, yeah, I want a NATO that I can drag into war. I want an alliance where I can drag other countries into war the way Israel drags us into war. That's what you want? Because NATO was kind of, the whole NATO alliance is kind of built on a reactive type of deal here. So somebody got to attack us for NATO to stomp them out, and somebody got to attack a NATO country for all of us to stomp that, country that attacked a NATO country. So I'm sorry, but no, it's not fair to sit there and try to switch up the agreement when it comes to NATO countries and say, oh, please. I know we started this war. We did the preemptive strike, and we got dragged into by Israel. And I know we created a mess in the Strait of Hormuz that are affecting all of your markets. So we created the mess. But can you let us drag into this? Oh, yeah. Also put your military assets on the line, your soldiers on the line, your economic security on the line, even though you already are, because, we're kind of effing up your energy market. But you think you can, put a little bit more out there for us, even though we created the mess. And if you don't, you're pussy. It's like, bro, like, what type of shit is that? Like, are you serious? I'll be pissed.
Now it's 32. There is an article in the treaty, it's Article 13, that it says you can give NATO 1 year and we'll pull out of NATO. We should basically say we're going to have a new NATO. This is not working at all. Secretary General Ruda understands that. I think he understands the frustration the president.
Oh, guys, make sure to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Let's get more people on a conversation by double tapping that screen and smashing the like button, depending on how you're watching. Appreciate the support, guys. Let's keep it going. Like I said, any question, comment, jokes, or disagreements, you can go ahead and send it in the super chat, $2 and up. Appreciate the support. All right, let's go.
President has. Look, as a defensive alliance, we've asked them to pull their own weight. When we go through the Strait of Hormuz, a lot of that stuff goes to Europe. A lot of it goes to the Pacific. This is time when we ought to have a Pacific and a European relationship, a peace organization, a defensive organization, one of the future. So I think the president has really rise to this. He's smart. He's very blunt with him. I think they're kind of smarting under his direct involvement with it, but he's correct on what he's doing. And God bless him. Thank you for what you're doing, representing the American people, and he's serious about it. So everything he's done, he's played by his instincts. And you know your father-in-law really well. His instincts are really, really good. They're really honed well. And he's going to hit, and he's going to make sure he understands where it can apply.
Yeah. Well, now let me ask you about this. You know, speaking of the Strait, we did see in the Strait of Hormuz today that there was some mine clearing going on, which seems to be a step in the right direction, General. Do you feel like this is just that, a step in the right direction, maybe the beginning of the end of this conflict?
Well, I wouldn't really say a step in the right direction, but you're taking like 1 out of 3 problems that, you know, that is involved in crossing the Strait of Hormuz. So the mines, that's like the smallest problem. Like I said, you still got to worry about drones being flown at these ships and straight up missiles being flown at these ships. And if Iran wants to do it, they will. I mean, all they got to do is pull out a hypersonic missile and they'll sink a ship with it. So removing the mines, yeah, that's cool and all, but that we haven't taken out the real threats.
Conflict over there?
Well, I hope it is. I mean, it's mine clearing. It's just to make sure they don't do it, and also the missile systems they've got on base. In other words, they're shore-to-ship missile systems. We have to make sure because they've actually changed the route of egress and access into the Gulf out there. They put it by their islands more closer to Iran. In other words, the one island that you watch for in there is not Geisham Island. That's the big one. But Little Nark Island, that's their command and control hub. That you need to watch out for. And I would just tell them up front, this is the way it's going to be. So I think it's a good sign, a positive sign, but part of that is the best one is if the Iranians help us to get through the strait and make sure either do it jointly or we'll do it by ourselves, one of the two.
Well, we seem to be doing a lot by ourselves these days. There's no doubt about that. General Keith Kellogg, we appreciate.
Bro, we started it by ourselves. Like, come on now. That is BS that we're over here crying that NATO don't want to get dragged into a conflict/war with us. That's BS. We can sit there and cry about how some of them don't want to pay their bills or pay that 5%. Like, sure, that's reasonable. But I'm sorry though, but sitting there and getting mad that they're not allowing us to drag them into a war, that is absolutely reasonable for them to do. Not raising their military spending. All right, we can grill them on that all day. But this, come on now, guys. Let's be fair. Let's be fair. All right, let's get into this whole China helping out Iran, which we knew they were doing, but now they're stepping up their support because it used to just be intelligence or satellite pictures to give them targets, but now it's seeming like they're moving up to weapons.
The war in Iran escalating tensions this week, and there may be a new adversary against the U.S. and Israel, China. CNN reporting the communist nation is preparing to deliver new air defense systems to Iran. So joining me now is retired Marine intelligence officer, host of the Strat podcast, and national security expert, Hal Kempfer. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Ashley.
So Hal, what does this report mean for keeping the ceasefire?
Well, this acts as a new dynamic. First we had a report that Russia was providing intelligence to Iran that they were using to target U.S. bases and U.S. personnel. Now we have a report that China is actually shipping in weapons, air defense weapons. These are the same type of weapons that were used to shoot down the F-15 where we had to...
the Chinese shoulder pad missile pretty much. It's like, Chinese shoulder pad or shoulder missile launcher. That's what pretty much shot down the F-15. And I mean, they're sending more of those in. So these guys will be able to just try to snatch these guys. Well, just by standing there in the middle of the desert, apparently that's how they got it. So here's the thing. Not only is China supplying these guys with intelligence through satellite imaging, but now they're supplying these guys with missiles. More missiles that they already have. Because, I mean, let's be real. We've only diminished about 33% of their missile stock. They still got a whole bunch of hypersonic missiles. They still got a whole lot of drones. So, yeah, Iran, sadly, is still the military threat. We, walked into this war. Well, I'm sorry, but Iran's still the military threat that, it been a military threat. For some reason, we try to say that we can end them in 4 days, and here we are over 40 days in, and everybody's over here acting surprised. The beginning of this war, we told you guys this is not going to be easy. This is not going to be Venezuela. But you guys are over here trying to call us panicans. 40 days in, you're still trying to call us panicans, by the way, which is hilarious. Because we would think like over 40 days in, you guys would be like, all right, y'all might have a point. Like, we are still in this war. It is getting more expensive. Like, we do got some soldiers dead and equipment have been destroyed. Y'all might have a point. Maybe we might need to hop on y'all side, because Trump did run on anti-war, but for some reason, because it's Trump, y'all now pro-war. Is absolutely amazing. All right, but let's get back to it. Oh, and if you have any disagreements, you can go ahead and super chat that in. I'll be happy to read it out loud and engage with it.
Rescue the air crew from that and to shoot down the A-10 and a variety of other things. So obviously this poses a direct threat to our forces. This is something
Hey, shout out to my man Daniel Welch. I haven't seen you in a while, my man. You know what? He says all about that oil. You know, oil is part of it. Oil is definitely part of it when it comes to Iran. But what also is part of it is Iran being like a regional power. Iran is the strongest country in that region. Second place would probably be Israel. So because Iran is this regional power and has all these proxies to suppress our influence in the region, this is why Iran would be key to take out. Because we take out of Iran, and it's going to be a lot easier to topple places like Lebanon, it's a lot easier to topple places like Syria and Yemen without Iran around. And if we completely destabilize Iran could be taken itself, and we can also put our own little puppet president in there like the Shah, or puppet leader like the Shah, that we can control and kind of, what's the right word? Oh, yes, extort them for all their resources like we were doing in the 50s, which kind of led to the reason why they hate us and why they chant death to America. I always do say, due to our interference in other governments is why a lot of these people, a lot of these countries don't like us in the Middle East. Is because of our interference in their government and not allowing them to prosper off their own resources, which we kind of do till today, but not as bad as back in the 50s.
Sure, we're discussing with China, but this goes to the alignment. You know, you got Russia, China, Iran.
Shout out to my man Daniel Welch for starting us off on the super chat. Appreciate you, bro.
Korea, those four are working in sync in things all around the world. So it's not a shock, but it is disappointing.
They also mentioned that China is routing the shipments through other countries to mask their identity. What can you tell us about that, if anything?
China is a master at that. They use shell corporations. The ships that come in can be under third country flags, different shell corporations from around the world. In fact, a lot of times it's not quite the same as the shadow tanker fleet with Russia, but when you start getting into, who owns the ship, what country is that ship registered to, the flag country or the flag state for the ship, and then you get into, well, what is actually on the ship? What is the cargo that's on the ship? Who's the master of the vessel? Who's the who's in the crew? You start breaking that down. You start.
Shout out to my man Daniel Welch, bro. I'm glad you see it, brother. I'm glad you see it. He's like, make sure to bow to Netanyahu. Yeah, because apparently, man, we just following up this man on any bullshit he does. The man literally told us, look, bro, we're going to go in and strike Israel. Not strike Israel. We're going to go in and strike Iran. You should join us. It's going to be all good. 4 days, bro. You're going to be seen as a hero. 40 days plus later, bro. 40 days plus later. $50 billion in and 11 lives lost, sadly. Keep them in your prayers. Keep the family in your prayers. And these people still can't admit that they're wrong. But, hey, I just want to know at a certain point, how much do we got to lose until y'all guys admit that, yo, this is a bad idea? Because I'm going to be real with you. Like, did we complete any of our goals? Did we got containment of the nuclear enrichment? No. Are there ballistic missiles gone? No. Proxy still going on? Yes. What goal have we completed? Strait of Hormuz closed, and shoot, that became a new goal. Like that goal popped up out of nowhere when we popped off the war.
Finding that there's all sorts of nefarious things going on many times, and that's the case in this, where they're basically using third countries to mask the fact that they are providing all the support for Iran in its war against the U.S. and Israel, and really against all the Gulf states and against the Middle East.
Guys, make sure to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Let's get more people in on the conversation by double tapping that screen. And you can go ahead and subscribe to the channel by hitting that icon above. Appreciate the support, guys. Let's keep it going.
Peace.
So we know that Vice President J.D. Vance is leading these negotiations in Pakistan and trying to talk with Iran there. But when you hear things like, well, China's going to help out Iran against us, I mean, your mind immediately goes to World War III. Is this concerning that China's coming into this story now?
There have been discussions about this. When this story surfaced, there are a lot of people who see what's going on right now around the world with Ukraine, Russia, with the Middle East, as the beginnings of World War II or World War III, kind of like
speaking on the whole Ukraine, Russia. I mean, you know, due to what we're doing in Iran right now, we kind of can't even condemn China or Russia anymore. I mean, we preemptively struck, Iran, and Russia invaded Ukraine. So I'm sorry, but what high ground do we have again? Like, we kind of lost all high ground at this point. It's wild. Like, now China go ahead and try to move in on Taiwan. I mean, we try to enforce our influence on Iran. So who are we to sit there and get mad when they try to enforce their influence on other countries? I mean, their superpowers right. Superpowers rights, right? Might make right? I mean, we don't want to live in that world, but that's what we're making it out to be.
The turbulent international situation.
Oh, and I see somebody from Ireland in here, so I'm gonna go ahead and play this for you, bro. Mel, shout out to Ireland, man. Y'all some tough bastards, I'll give you that.
Something big is happening in Ireland right now. A formal request for the army to be deployed has been submitted after hundreds of farmers and truck drivers have begun blocking major roads and critical infrastructure with the aim of pressuring the government to reduce the cost of fuel. In fact, according to local media, protesters have even started blocking critical oil terminals and refineries, which they say is halting about half of the country's fuel supplies from getting out to service stations. You see, right now, farmers, haulers, and small business owners say that fuel prices in the country have gotten so high that they are struggling to even operate. A spokesperson for the protesters told BBC Radio that the government support package, which was announced last month, is not sufficient. They say that what the government gave farmers and contractors was a, quote, complete and utter insult.
Do you think the government will back down?
Well, we're not. So if the government don't back down, we're staying here.
Do you think you'll continue to have the support of the public?
Yeah, we will, because everyone's hurting. It's across the board. We never thought we'd be in this situation. We thought that we would have a lot more people in aid with us, but we have the support of everyone at the minute. And we apologise for any inconvenience. This just has to be done.
Now, in response, Ireland's Justice Minister said that those who do not move their vehicles will face the full rigour of the law, and a request for the army to move these vehicles has been submitted. The protesters, however, say that they will not be backing down no matter what. So, we've reached a standoff. But of course, as the situation develops, I'll keep you guys updated.
Man, y'all boys still ain't moved. Still ain't moved, man. You got to respect that. You really do. And it's like what? Ireland, Germany, been going to war against their government over these outrageous energy prices. And I'm sorry, guys, but I know it is kind of our fault a little bit. But y'all been going through this before it. So I'm glad y'all still fighting. But my bad, we're making it worse. Our bad. We didn't think, well, apparently, Trump didn't think they were going to close the Strait of Hormuz, even though we all knew, I knew that they were going to do that. But for some reason, our president just said, F it. I don't think they're that tough. Well, look where we're at now. But shout out to my man, Daniel Welch. He says, I don't think Netanyahu lubed up before making Trump his mouthpiece like a ventriloquist. Damn. Trust me, bro. Yeah, trust me. I feel your anger too, because it does feel like we're just getting led along. Literally by a leash. It seemed like Trump is getting literally dog walked into this war, and Israel's not allowing us any way out. And they proved that to us as soon as we try to pop off the ceasefire in the beginning. And guess what? If we'd have been able to do that in the beginning before Israel completely effed it up, we'd have had the Strait of Hormuz open. We got the ceasefire. They was literally letting ships through. Then Israel decides to strike Lebanon 100 freaking times, and then they close it again. It's like, bro, it's like we just can't get nothing nice with Israel around when it comes to this war. We just can't get anything nice. Oh, guys, make sure to double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Let's get more people in the conversation by double tapping that screen. And let's see what international news got to say about J.D. Vance.
J.D. Vance, the U.S. Vice President, is due to speak soon.
To the Prime Minister of Pakistan and to Field Marshal Munir, who were both incredible hosts. And whatever shortcomings in the negotiation, it wasn't because of the Pakistanis, who did an amazing job and really tried to help us and the Iranians bridge the gap and get to a deal. We have been at it now for 21 hours, and we've had a number of substantive discussions with the Iranians. That's the good news. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement. And I think that's bad news for Iran, much more than it's bad news for the United States of America. So we go back to the United States having not come to an agreement. We've made very
AKA, I mean, and this is honestly, I hope people ask them this. So what was Pete Hegseth talking about? A complete capitulation from Iran, you know, to get the ceasefire done. Like you said, they were pretty much begging to get it done. Like we just, you know, we decimated their Air Force, their Navy, you know, they should be eating out the palm of our hands. What happened to that? Why were they able to walk away like they got some type of leverage? Can you explain that, please? But they won't. So shout out to my man, Lunatic Libertarian. All centralized systems are failed. Oh, and shout out to the support guys. Appreciate it. You guys, if we can get to $100 in support, I'll go ahead and open up the call-in line. Let some of you guys come up here and tell me why you agree or disagree with me. Appreciate the support. If you want to double your support towards a call-in, you can go ahead and send in a Venmo by either hitting that QR code above, or, well, I guess when I post it, you'll see it.
very clear what our red lines are, what things we're willing to accommodate them on, and what things we're not willing to accommodate them on. And we've made that as clear as we possibly could, and they have chosen not to accept our terms. Questions?
So, Nick Robertson from CNN. Precisely what have they rejected here? Can you help us understand it a little bit?
Well, I won't go into all the details because I don't want to negotiate in public after we negotiated for 21 hours in private. But the simple fact is that we need to see an affirmative commitment that they will not seek a nuclear weapon, and they will not seek the tools that would enable them to quickly achieve a nuclear weapon. That is the core goal of the President of the United States, and that's what we've tried to.
Hold on, bro. Well, I'm sorry, but what is this dumb propaganda going around that, oh, IRG was sending missiles into Qatar after the initial ceasefire? Bro, I'm sorry, but there was only 2 times Iran struck Qatar. Actually, I mean, let's be real. I don't think we can count the strike after Midnight Hammer as a real strike, because they informed Qatar they were going to strike them and gave them time to intercept it and all that good stuff. So we can't even count that one. But the strike after we struck them, after they said that, yo, we'll strike all of our neighbors or to have your bases in the region if you strike us. Yeah, if you want to count that, sure. But I've been hearing some like this wild ass propaganda that, oh, they were striking Qatar during the 12-day war. I mean, no, that's a lie. They didn't hit Qatar until Midnight Hammer was carried out, and they symbolically sent a strike over into Qatar. They didn't actually try to strike Qatar, because trust me, they hit Qatar when they actually tried. I mean, we all know now. And you know, Iran and Qatar are like allies, right? You know that. Well, before this war, of course. Before this war, of course, Iran and Qatar was allies.
Achieve through these negotiations. Again, their nuclear program, such as it is, the enrichment facilities that they had before, they've been destroyed.
Whoops.
But the simple
Here it is. Hey, shout out to my man Daniel Welch for the baller alert. He said, I'm heading to bed, big dog. I'll try and drop by sometime. Been hell lately. Here's some love. Hey, bro, I hope everything's all right. You're staying safe out there, bro. Appreciate you. You know, my man Daniel out there doing real police work. So make sure you guys shout him out. And shout out to the Lunatic Libertarian, manufacturing a crisis for concentration. Wait, really? For for concentration control, concentrated control of around centralized entities is reality. Hold on here. Hold on now, really? I ain't gonna lie, you're going all the way out there, but I'm gonna read it. He said, manufacturing a crisis for central. I'm not sure if you did that wrong, but concentrated of control around centralized entities is reality, participating or having liberty and freedom restricted. Huh? All right.
Question is,
All right,
do
hold
we
on
see a fundamental commitment of will for the Iranians?
Okay, you think this is a manufactured crisis to pretty much go ahead and shift over oil sales to the United States, which I've said that before, actually. I don't know, you might be going there too, or maybe you're not, but I've actually heard that we could be manufacturing this crisis to start making people pretty much not invest so much into the Middle East oil and start investing in our oil. As you see, Trump was out there bragging about there was empty oil tankers heading to the United States to start filling up on oil. AKA, I guess we're trying to make money from the fact that, people can't get their oil out of the Strait of Hormuz or from the Middle East. Stop participating or have liberty and freedom restricted. Okay, got you. My bad, bro. My bad.
Not to develop a nuclear weapon, not just now, not just 2 years from now, but for the long term. We haven't seen that yet. We hope that we will. Jen.
Was there a framework on anything? And also, did the Iranian frozen assets come up, and did you reach any conclusions on those frozen assets?
We talked about all those issues, Jen, and we talked about a number of issues beyond that. And so certainly those things came up. But again, we just could not get to a situation where the Iranians were willing to accept our terms. I think that we were quite flexible. We were quite accommodating. The president told us, you need to come here in good faith and make your best effort to get a deal. We did that. And unfortunately, we weren't able to make any headway. Preston.
Mr. Vice President, how often did you communicate with President Trump throughout the negotiations? There were reports that there were multiple rounds where there were breaks in between negotiations. How often did you communicate with the president throughout those rounds, and what was he saying as you were going through these negotiations that you said fell short?
Yeah, obviously we were talking to the president consistently. I don't know how many times we talked to him, a half dozen times, a dozen times over the past 21 hours. We obviously also talked to Admiral Cooper, to Pete, to Marco, to the entire national security team. We talked to Scott Bessent a number of times. So look, we were constantly in communication with the team because we were negotiating in good faith. And we leave here with a very simple proposal, a method of understanding that is our final and best offer. We'll see if the Iranians accept it. Thank you.
I mean, they're not going to accept it. I'm pretty sure they just came in there with the maximalist demands of giving up their nuclear enrichment, giving up their ballistic missiles and stop funding their proxies. And they said, if you don't do that, then no deal. And of course, the Iranians are like, so you're just back to this? So it's going to be a no, right? Like, we're going to sit here and talk for 14 hours. It's going to be a no. And of course, Iranians are like, so you want to try to go ahead and lift those sanctions? And we're looking at them like, yo, nah, no. Actually, it's probably more accurate if we said, oh, hell no, just to keep it real. Guys, let's make sure we're double tapping that screen and liking the video.
Did you going back to work, sir?
Okay, that was the U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance talking after a marathon 21 hours, he said, of discussions with the Pakistan negotiating team and with Iran, and essentially saying that after those 21 hours, unfortunately, they are now leaving Pakistan with no deal. We go back to the U.S. without a deal. Let's go straight to Al Jazeera's Osama bin Javed, who is in the Pakistani capital near the venue of those talks. So there we go. That is the outcome of these talks. What did you take away from that statement from the U.S. Vice President?
Well, it appears that after all of the effort that was put in, there is no deal. There is an understanding on the table that you can take out from that statement, that there is something on the cards that...
Guys, do me a favor and double tap that screen and like the video, guys. We got 400 y'all in here. Let's see if we can go ahead and get to 100 likes, and you can help me out by double tapping that screen, liking the video, and hit that icon above to subscribe to the channel. All right, let's keep it going.
The vice president says that is their best and final offer. And I think that is something which would, if you were an optimist, giving you some hope that there is still the negotiations process is not dead. I was speaking to a source just before we heard that the vice president is going to be making a statement. And they told me that, well, the good thing is that there is no breakdown, but the bad thing.
Hey, and shout out to my man Daniel Welch. He said, just seeing comments while laying down. No, we didn't see Democrats talking about the files, but Trump ran on releasing them. That's the problem. Yes, he also ran on lowering gas prices. And then, bro, so pretty much we just got like what? $3.50 teased in front of our face just to see it ripped away because you want to go to war with Iran. Like, that's wild. Inflation went from 2.4 to 3.3%. We voted for better. So don't sit there and say, well, it was worse under Biden. That's why we didn't vote for Biden. That's why we didn't vote for Kamala, because Trump said he would give us better. And he was for the first year. And then he just walked everything back. So yeah, I'm sorry for actually having values. I'm sorry for standing up for what I believe in. And I'm very sorry for holding my president accountable. Like, apparently I was just supposed to go along with whatever the man was saying, right? Whatever he was doing, I was just supposed to shill my ass off, right, guys? That's what y'all wanted. All right, then. Of course not.
Thing is that there is no breakthrough. And according to the vice president, well, the bad thing is that they're leaving without a deal. During these talks, it was never going to be easy. We were hearing from various diplomats, various sources, and there was very little concrete information coming out. So there was the first round, then the second round. So we believe there were about 5 rounds, and after every single one of them, there were exchanges of notes between these two sides. So it appears that there is some sort of a wider framework that both sides have come towards. I think there is a proposal and a counter proposal from what we gather from JD.
Yeah, I don't see things going. One, where I'm pretty sure we're going back to war, and two, sadly, I kind of seen this coming. I was hoping that things would go in the right direction, but I was just like, I already know what Iran's going to walk in there and want. They're going to want immediate relief of the sanctions. They're going to be able to restrict the Strait of Hormuz by charging fees and all this wild stuff. Yeah, that wasn't going down. But all right, though, let's go ahead and get into more international media. Shout out Sky News.
A great power of his time. When Churchill described a great power of his time as a riddle wrapped in a mystery inside an enigma, he was talking about Russia. But today, that memorable phrase might just as accurately be applied to the paradox that is the United States.
Oh.
On the one hand, Artemis II brought together over a dozen nations, including Germany, Saudi.
All right, hold on, guys. Let's get over here to Fox News, because finally they're talking about it. I ain't hear nothing from Fox News about this, I'm be real with you, struck down deal.
We've got lots of news to get to.
Be honest, I ain't heard nothing from Fox News. And the reason why I was